just a couple of moments. We'll give everyone one more moment to get in, but thanks to everyone for joining us for Councils and Conversations this morning. And like I said, we'll give it one more minute, let a few more people join us, and then we'll get underway. All right, well, we'll get started. Again, thank you everyone for joining us for our normal councils and conversations. We do this each month. This is our opportunity to have networking, but also hear about some important topics going on. So we thank you for joining us for this. First, I want to start by thanking all of our investors who support the Chamber throughout the year. Our investors are the only way that we're able to put on this programming and others as well. So a big thank you to them, as you should see scrolling on your screen. Also, all of our council sponsors. We have many sponsors of all of the councils that we have here at the Chamber that touch on various different topics. Today, we're talking about small business topics, but many other issues that come up through our different councils. We encourage you to get engaged with those as well. Well, thanks again. And we do have a great panel here with us this morning to talk about PPP forgiveness. We've talked about the Paycheck Protection months going on over a year now. We received their forgiveness on those PPP loans. Others are just coming up. It may be for their second PPP loan or so we do have our panel here from TD Bank, Kathy Graves from the Development Center. So we could start us off with just what they need to do to be able to get prepared to get forgiveness on their PPP loans.
Joe, can you start answering that question?
Yeah, I guess I'll take it. Good morning, everyone. One of the biggest things before you start to fill out your 3508, and there's three actual forms in the loan forgiveness. It's the 3508S, the L, and the EZ. So the S is for short form, which any company less than $50,000, they would fill out the S. Anyone above that number will decide if they're going to do the EZ or the long form. In particular, those who receive more than $150,000 in PPP should be filling out the long form. But those, and that's a lot of individual small businesses under $50,000, the quickest and easiest form is the 2-pager, which is the 3508S form. One of the forms is just, you're just checking off boxes. One thing in particular to be aware of, in your documentation, you have to keep all your documentation for 6 years. There is a auditing process. It's unlikely that many businesses any of them will get audited, but per statute and per the legislation that this act includes, you need to keep those records for approximately 6 years. With that being said, the preparation, much like when you filled out the initial application, those documents should be kept and stored in a particular area. There may be some individuals, companies that have downsized since receiving their PPP or been a change within their status. One thing for forgiveness, the 60-40 rule of payroll versus qualified expenses is actually still there. You have to be aware of that. So as long as you met that mandate and there's been a change to that, you can go ahead and still apply through your PPP forgiveness. Many questions that the SBA and my department is receiving what happens if for some reason you got an overpayment? The government is going to tell you, say you were supposed to get initially, 13,000, and someone put a 2 in front of it and sent you 23,000. Well, that difference of $10,000, the government is going to have you pay it back in a loan increments per statute. You do not have to give a lump sum, but you will have to make loan payments. So the 13,000 would be forgiven. The 10,000 of the overpayment, you would actually go through a loan program. So the government realizes there's been mistakes on both sides of the aisle. They're not blaming anyone. They're just going to adhere to statutory limits of saying you must pay back any overage that you actually may have. If in particular, what we're encouraging everyone to do is to contact their bank that they receive their PPP, to ask the bank what type of form they want to receive. Remember, it is the local bank, the same people that you receive the PPP from, those are the ones you're going to ask for the loan forgiveness. There's 3 forms of the 3508, the short, the long, and the easy. If you are less than $50,000, you will fill out the S, the 3508S. Anyone longer than that, you'll either decide if you're going to do the long form or the easy form. Exactly what it says, it's the easy form. So think like this: when you fill out your 1040 in taxes, though there is a short form. In particular, on the PPP, there's actually 2 statutory limits of when you should actually utilize which form. And the statutory limit is the $50,000 or less of that you receive during the PPP versus more. I know individuals too, maybe on this call, this is the second go around, very similar to when the first PPP and how you went through forgiveness and things of that nature. All those parameters are still there. So just know that the forgiveness portion, as long as you're staying in the statutory limits of the 60-40 rule that is mandated for forgiveness to be eligible, you will qualify. Knowing that you receive less than 50,000 or greater than 50,000 will decide which form you actually utilize. So hopefully that's a good little introduction of what you really should be looking at. First, deciding where you are, where do you fall, deciding which form then to use of the 3, and then working with your institution that you received the PPP for is the best methodology going forward to receive your PPP forgiveness.
Great, thanks, Joe. And sorry if I was breaking up a little bit before. Let me turn now to Jeffrey over at TD Bank. And Jeffrey, how are things going with TD? Are you starting to see a lot of these PPP forgiveness loans coming back in? And have you opened your portal? I know different banks have different timeframes for when they open their portals.
Good morning. It's great to be here. TD Bank, Maine to Florida, we're in the top 10 for PPP loans. At this point, we have 74% of our borrowers have gone into our portal and requested forgiveness. So, that's a pretty good number, very good number. I will tell you, our portal will be opening sometime in August regarding the second PPP round. So I don't know, we're just going through testing at this point, but at 74%, we feel really good and really getting these forgiveness applications processed and moved along.
Jeffrey, what do you normally about as they start to enter the forgiveness process?
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit. What was that again?
What types of things do you normally tell customers to be prepared for or think about as they enter the forgiveness process?
Well, to Joe's point, we really direct them to the SBA website, which is going to pretty much give you, good guidance on what is needed. In our portal, once you go in, you're going to have a lot of frequently asked questions. It's really going to be interactive to help them through the process. If it will show you what is needed both on, on the SBA website, what is required to start the forgiveness application. I mean, I can go through each of the items, but I mean, that can be found, on the website. You're going to need your SBA loan number. You're going to have your calculations on payroll and non-payroll, which Joe had mentioned. It's really important that, you may even want to fill out those applications by hand, just so you have it all right there. Make sure all of your backup information is ready to be uploaded to the portal. It's really being as organized as possible and showing where these monies were spent to get your forgiveness application completed.
Great, thanks, Jeffrey. And let me turn now to Kathy. And Kathy, what are some of the things you're hearing from small businesses just in general? We talked a lot about PPP, but now things have changed definitely in the situation of the pandemic. What are you hearing from small business?
We haven't received a lot of complaints on the forgiveness end at all. We've actually been working with many businesses to open. We've helped open a lot of small businesses. They're continuing to access our partnership loan. They're looking at growing their business and sustaining their business rather than looking back. They're moving forward and adjusting accordingly. We really haven't had any complaints with the PPP at all. And we still encourage people to go and apply for EIDL until the end of the year, but no issues at this point. One of the things that we really strongly encourage is to ensure that your back office is in order. Just like Jeffrey said, be organized, because many did fall out because they did not have their back office in order. We actually offer back office support. We will pay for the first 5 hours for any of our students that go through our entrepreneurship program to get your books set up. And we also set up a program that we will help any small business in New Haven with their back office support, just to get them started, to make sure that no one has these issues if anything else arises. So far we're moving forward and growing businesses and looking forward to these cannabis licenses that Joe's going to tell me about.
Great, thanks, Kathy, appreciate it. And Joe, similar question to you at the Connecticut SBDC Small Business Development Center. Obviously, you field a lot of these questions. What are some of the issues that you're seeing from businesses? Are they in a good position with PPP right now? Are there other support that they need?
Most businesses are in a very good position. One, because they've already went through first round of PPP. Unfortunately, for a lot of minority and women-owned businesses, some of them didn't. And this is the first round for them, including my own small business. This is my first round of going through applying for PPP as well as receiving PPP. But what we have in our department here at the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, is you have 5 advisors assigned to help every business on this call with their PPP application, whether it's for forgiveness or when they applied. So that is still a resource for you. You should go to ctsbdc.com. You can request help for you. We will walk you through the process of you applying for that. We do have people full-time staff that's all they do all day is EIDL or PPP forgiveness. So I encourage you to, if you have a question, simply pick up the phone, go to our website, and then we will be able to help you with that. What we're finding is a lot of the calculations. Most people want to make sure that they're calculating it properly. The first thing we do is just go to the statutory limits of the 60/40. That's one of the biggest and most important things to receive the forgiveness. You must know that 60% must have been spent on payroll. I think one of the biggest questions you're probably going to find, and we're finding, is any changes between your payroll that you initially started when you had the application and the approval, and there's been a change. That's what we're getting a lot of questions about. So we really do walk you through that. There is language within the application process. There is information on our website, on the SBA's website as well, really explaining to you how to and how do you qualify, what qualifies you, and even tells you how some of the calculations that you should be actually using. So it's really straightforward. But if you feel that you need any help with that, I encourage you to reach out to the chamber, reach out to our department, the city, and we will definitely get someone assigned to you to actually help you with that. But for the most part, it's more dealing with when should I apply. Like TD Bank, for instance, they're just opening up their portal next month for the second portion. Most banks are still doing the first round of PPP forgiveness. And now that's why you must check with your bank, your institution, to know if you're on the second round, the second wave of this PPP. It's a timing issue, and no one knows when exactly each and every bank, when they're opening up their portal or how they're receiving the applications. So you need to check with them, check with their websites, and be abreast of that.
Thanks, Joe. And we'll open it up to questions in just a moment. So if you have questions, you can either put those in the chat or raise your hand, and we'll give an opportunity to ask those questions of our panel here. Jeffrey, another question for you. I know you do a lot with SBA loans in general. What is the lending market like right now? Are you seeing a lot of small businesses try to take advantage of debt capital, of debt, excuse me?
Yeah, we are, you know, as a bank, you know, all I do are 7A and 504 loans. So I'm the sales manager for the Northeast. We have 2 other regions. You know, we've already met our goals for the year in SBA and 504. Right now, we're really concentrating these last couple of months because, you know, the fee waiver and the higher guarantee runs through the government fiscal year of September 30th. So we're working hard to get our loans that are in the underwriting and closing process funded to get out to these small businesses. You know, we also have a under $1 million 7A product, which is a little bit quicker, which is you know, really going well for us. So our concentration is really getting these loans funded for these small businesses right now, so they can, you know, really take advantage of the fee waivers and getting this money to either expand, buy real estate, equipment, whatever the case may be.
And Garrett, I'd like to piggyback on what Jeffrey is talking. The 7A enhancement program is actually a program that most small businesses, if you're looking to take a loan over the next few months, if you say you were going to wait, now is not the time to wait. What the federal government has done is waive a significant fee. That fee can be upwards to 3% of your loan. So if you're taking out $1 million, 3% of that would be going to the federal government to actually pay for that. That has been waived. Also, 90 days of that initial loan, the federal government's going to pay for, as long as it gets funded before September 30th. So if you're thinking about taking on debt, you need debt, you want some expansion, I would encourage you to reach out to TD Bank or your banking institution to see about what they can do as far as the 504 and the 7A. One significant thing is the guarantee has been increased to 90%. So it's less risk to the banks at this present time. For you, the client, if you do a 504, you know, you're putting down only 10%, which is very different because even pre-pandemic, many institutions would be 15 to 25% would be the down payment on many loans. And so right now, what the federal government through the stimulus has decided to do is lessen the thresholds of getting you into a loan. At the same time, because it's statutory limits of the fiscal year, which ends September 30th, you need to act quickly. I know our office is very busy taking applications, working with banks such as TD to get these applications in so that we can go through underwriting so that we can close them on time. So you can take advantage of the savings, and it's the significant savings under both programs. So once again, interest rates are very low. PPP forgiveness is there for you. There's help to the state and the federal government as far as filling out those loans. So feel free, please reach out to us.
Great point, Joe. And Jeffrey and I were talking that really, if you want to get in on some of these loans, Jeffrey, now is the time. Don't delay, even though we just said September 30th is the deadline. There's a lot that has to take place before then. You need to get that process going, right, Jeffrey?
Absolutely. And probably the toughest program at this point is really the 504 program, because each certified development company has to send the application into the SBA to get approved. And that turnaround time, I think, is in the 18 to 20 day time frame. So there you go there. And then you have to have the debenture funded, and those are only funded, once per month. So that program is coming really close. But as far as 7A goes, there's still time, but it's running out.
Great point. Again, any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll answer those. Also, if you want to raise your hand and ask your question directly, we can do that. In the meantime, we're going to turn back to Kathy. And Kathy, what are you seeing as far as New Haven businesses? Is the activity picked up enough for a lot of our local businesses in New Haven, or are they still struggling with some issues? And what are some of the things that you guys are thinking about at the city to support activity and generate activity?
We're seeing more and more people actually coming downtown and supporting the downtown businesses. One of the things that we're trying to do, and we should be rolling out a very nice video over the next couple of weeks, is to encourage people to experience New Haven, because it's bigger than just downtown. And so we're highlighting every area in New Haven to get people to experience it. I think you're seeing more and more on the weekends that people are really coming out, and the evenings, the restaurants are booming. So we're just going to continue to encourage that. Our challenge will be in the fall, because we don't know what's going to happen with this Delta variant, but we're going to adjust and try to be as supportive as we can with the small businesses.
Thanks, Kathy. And we do have a question in the chat. Joe, I'll let you take this question. I don't know if you can see it, but I think it does speak to general people getting concerned. We have this loan, really want to make sure it gets forgiven and becomes a grant. Obviously, you have to wait for the process for each individual bank, how they're going to do that. But any advice for the question here, or just people in general who would like to get this forgiveness going?
Don't go on it alone. The government has set up individuals like myself, business consultants and advisors, to walk you right through the process. I mean, we know it best. We're sitting with the language from Treasury and from the SBA. So it's free to you. Ask for someone for advice. Look over your application. This is what they're there for. This is why they were hired, to do exactly that. I know it can be a tedious process, because you have to really wait for these portals of the banks to open up on their timeline. They're been very, very busy, from refinancing of homes to the PPP, and then the government's been really busy on the EIDL side of getting those loans out. But there are experts here to help you. So I would not guess on that, especially working with the government and trying to get your loan forgiven. I would actually either contact the SBA directly or contact my department at CT SBDC. We will get you the help. We will review your application to make sure that your calculations are right, that your paperwork is in order, that you're filling out the right form for you, because there's 3 different ones that you have to qualify. We'll actually look and see exactly which one you should be doing, and actually point you in the right direction. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, the chamber, they'll put you in touch with our department. But by all means, if you really want to get sure that your loan is going to get forgiven, have an expert look at it before you turn it in. That's my best advice to anyone.
Great point. Another question here that came in, and Debbie may need you to expand on this a little bit more, but talking about a client where they were unable to do elective surgical procedures, but they could still do telehealth visits. I'm not sure if that's in relation maybe to a employee retention tax credit, or where that would come into play. Joe, you have any thoughts, or Debbie, if you want to speak on that?
Yeah, so the question is, one of the questions on the 3508 form is, was your business shut down, mandatorily shut down as a result of the pandemic? And so they went to the SBA and asked them, how do I answer that question? I mean, part of my practice was mandatorily shut down because I was not able to do elective procedures, but I was able to continue to operate partially my business by doing telehealth visits with patients. So they went to the SBA, they asked the SBA that question, and they have still not received a response from the SBA, and it's holding up their submission of their forgiveness application.
Joe, you want to take that?
Yeah, what I would tell you to do is drop a line to the SBA. Julio Cassiano, the deputy director, district director of the SBA, he's the one that escalates, can answer these type of questions. If that question still needs to be answered, you can send me an email at joseph.williams@uconn.edu. I'll escalate it up to the SBA, to the district office, to either Catherine or Julio, and try to get that answered. I know it has taken some time, unfortunately, to get some answers because Treasury and SBA have to work out between themselves what the right answer may be. This is something that's new, taken on every step of this process into consideration and careful consideration. So what I would just suggest is put that in, and memorialize that through email, and then we will then track it down to give you a proper answer, and hopefully that will help you. More than likely, though, if you didn't fully close down 100% and you had this PPP and you were trying to do the 8-week, 24-week, whatever possibility of your PPP structure, as long as you're following those 60-40 rules. So say you were spending money on 40% was on the rent, the utilities, but you knew that the payroll, which is PPP, was mainly for, and you did that. Clearly, you're going to be able to check off all the boxes on the application process. It's going to be a question of how you feel. Did I fully close? Well, in listening to the comment right now, you didn't fully close. You just
Right.
way and methodology that you did work. Next question the government's going to ask you, did you continue to pay yourself under the amount of weeks that you said you were? And in this case, you were telecommuting, so you were working, you were engaging in your small business, so you would then therefore be qualified. Same thing, if I had 10 employees, unfortunately, I do the downsizing, say I was something mandatory, I was a restaurant, and at that time, the government said, hey, you can't open outdoors. I didn't need the staff. You dropped to 8. You know, is my loan still forgiven because I've changed it? Well, the question is yes. It depends on the calculation. It's going to come down to the 60-40 rule. That is what's key right now. It's more so than anything else is, did you spend 60% or more on payroll? Per the statute.
Thank you so much. I think that clarifies things. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Looks like we have another loss. Do we know for sure yet? Another question. Do we know for sure yet what time period is for calculating payroll expenses for phase 2 forgiveness? Any Joe or anyone else want to jump on that?
Is they asking for timeline, you said?
Yes. Or go ahead, Christina.
Yeah, only because in phase 1, it was changed like after we did the applying. And so I'm not really sure where I'm trying to calculate the 60% from. Is it from when we got the loan in 8 weeks out, or is it 24 weeks out?
You choose that, actually. You choose if it's 8 or 24. So it's from the time of you receiving it. So when they make that deposit, that is the week you should start calculating.
Okay, and we can go out 24 weeks this time?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
That didn't change. That didn't
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Guys, I must depart. I have another conference call. Is there, if anyone has further questions, please reach out to Gary in the chamber, and we will try to send you back a correspondence. But I have another meeting I must attend to right now. But it's been a pleasure. Hopefully I answered and helped you guys out in some measurable way this morning.
Great, thanks, Joe. So we'll get some closing thoughts from Kathy and from Jeffrey, and then we'll go into our networking breakout rooms. So Jeffrey, we're going to just leave us with a thought as people prepare for PPP loans.
Yeah, Joe, you know, really said it all. It's really being as organized as possible, going to sba.gov, reviewing, the forgiveness information that they have on there. You can go to your respective banks' websites and their portals, and that should have information for you. But, again, the 60/40, Joe made it quite clear, but please be sure, get yourself ready, have PDF forms ready to upload to your respective banks' portals, and hopefully that will make things as easy as possible for you.
Great. Thanks, Jeffrey, and appreciate everything TD Bank has done during this process. And Kathy, some closing thoughts from you, and then we'll go to our networking rooms.
I'm just going to support what Joe and Jeffrey have said, and I can't emphasize enough being organized, because if you're organized, you won't have a problem going through this process or any process going forward. So I suggest reach out to Joe at CTSBDC for any assistance. They have great business advisors, and if you need additional support after this loan is forgiven, we have a partnership loan for small business.
Great, thanks, Kathy. So what we'll do now, and a big thanks to Kathy, Jeffrey, and Joe for joining us this morning. So now we'll move to our networking rooms. This is what we do as part of the Councils in Conversation, is give an opportunity for people to get together. We're going to create, I think, a couple breakout rooms will be randomly assigned, and we'll be doing that in just the next few seconds. But again, thank you to everyone who's joined us. I do want to let everyone know we have our next big event coming up is on August 30th, August 31st. That's our Policy Summit and Summer Bash. It's going to be at the Schubert in the afternoon. So you can go onto the Chamber website and register for that. Look forward to seeing everyone there. And again, a big thanks to our entire panel who helped us out today. And there on your screen, you can see the Policy Summit and Summer Bash. We're going to be talking about transportation and how you get to New Haven and some of the issues with the infrastructure bill. That should be coming up on August 31st. Stick around, we'll shuffle everyone into their rooms. You can also see our Quinnipiac Chamber Business Showcase. They'll be on the 16th, but we'll move everyone into the networking rooms now.